This is a special message about a particular group of inductees into the Child Killer Murderer Hall of Shame, such as Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, whom I had exposed before but deleted the post, Sheriff Chad Chronister, Florida State Attorney Susan Lopez, U.S. Senator Ashley Moody, all from Florida, and NTSB Board member J. Todd Inman, who also has a Florida connection. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. As Christians, we are admonished to not do certain things such as cursing rulers or rich men or speaking evil of dignitaries. God admonishes in Ecclesiastes 10 verse 20. Curse not the king, no, not in your thought, and curse not the rich in your bedchamber, for a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which has wings shall tell the matter. Peter wrote in 2 Peter chapter 2 verses 10 to 12. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government. Presumptuous are they, self-willed, they are not afraid to speak evil of dignitaries, whereas angels which are greater in power and might bring not railing accusation against them before the Lord. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. Then Jude says in chapter 1 verses 8 to 11, likewise also these dreamers defile the flesh, reject authority, and speak evil of dignitaries. Yet Michael the archangel, in contending with the devil, whom he disputed about the body of Moses, dared not bring against him a reviling accusation, but said, the Lord rebuke you. But these speak evil of whatever they do not know, and whatever they know naturally, like brute beasts, and these things they corrupt themselves. Woe to them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, have run greedily in the error of Balaam for profit, and perished in the rebellion of Korah. These verses tell us that as Christians we are not to speak evil of dignitaries. The characteristics of people who do such things are also revealed. They despise government. Even angels don't make a railing accusation against rulers, and they also practice Cain's way. The way of Cain was characterized by intense envy, selfishness, desiring what others have, taking it by force and violence, even killing for it if necessary, with absolutely no concern for the welfare of others. It involves subduing and even enslaving others by threats and force where necessary, and ruling over others and demanding that they pay taxes and tribute, which were used for the sole welfare of the rulers and not the welfare of the subjects. It involved getting wealthy not by honest labor, but by any and all means, including taking the fruit of the labor of others with force or with as little payment as possible, through cunning craftiness, even taking advantage of the destitution of others by driving hard bargains, reducing them to further penury and misery, leading to even death. Cain and his descendants also hated the true God and his way of love and concern for the welfare of all. Error of Balaam for profit was to be willing to curse Israel because the king of Moab offered him fantastic riches. A rebellion of Korah was against Moses, which was questioning his authority. I can be accused of none of these things except to some degree of the rebellion of Korah if I criticize rulers in my state. I am sure German masquerader prophets are standing ready to accuse me for what I am going to reveal in this video. But I also have another important job, that of being watchman to the house of Israel, which means primarily America and British Commonwealth nations and Israel, or UBI nations. That commission is stated in Ezekiel 3 verses 17 to 19. Son of man, I have made you a watchman unto the house of Israel. A physical house of Israel consists primarily of America, British Commonwealth nations, and Israel is also to be included in the warning as indicated by other scriptures. And the spiritual house of Israel is God's true church. So continuing, therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. When I say unto the wicked, you shall surely die, and you do not give him warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at your hand. Yet if you warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you have delivered your soul. A watchman scans the horizon and warns his nation of any approaching dangers. If he does not issue the warning, his physical and eternal life is at stake. Warning as a watchman has to do primarily about letting our people in UBI nations know of their sins and violating God's laws for which God will punish them. But it also includes warning them about the dangers posed by other people and nations. That's why I warn our people about the evil and war that other nations such as Germany, China, and the Indian, Pashtun, and other Muslim allies are planning against us. I also need to expose another danger which has existed since the end of World War II, but that came to full light only after 2000, when the existence of German masqueraders, who were people of German descent living in white countries, living in the house of Israel, when it was fully discovered, and their murderous activities and collusion with Germany and its global allies. That's why I do these videos about child killers and or murderers in high or low places, or celebrities and rich people. They're all German masqueraders or their allies. Now consider the horrors already inflicted on us by these people. They've already committed genocide by murdering nearly 10 million white Americans of non-German ancestry from 1960 to 2000, cremating 5 to 6 million alive in electric crematoriums, and then medically murdering 3 to 4 million more, then murdering others as individuals or as part of serial killings, and forcing abortions of about 30 million white babies of non-German ancestry to control their population. Then in 2000 to 2001, they attempted another genocide. After the 1960 to 2000 genocide, when I learned that German masqueraders had been murdering people in restaurants and at other events by poisoning their food or by giving wrong prescriptions, I realized how easy it was to mass murder people. So I prayed to God Almighty to intervene and save our Israelite nations, such as UBI nations, but also including Northwest European nations, from this potential catastrophe. After my prayer, German masqueraders sent out a call to murder as many Israelites, that's white Americans of non-German ancestry and the Jews, as possible by poisoning their food or by other means. Sikhs in Punjab, India were included in this directive. I am a former Sikh. The main targets were IT professionals, scientists, serving and retired top military officers, statesmen, business and political leaders. The order also went out for German masquerader spouses who had married non-masquerader spouses to murder their spouses and their own children. These orders were carried out. People were poisoned or other murder attempts were made. But God answered my prayers and intervened to prevent these attempts from succeeding. This intervention probably saved tens of millions of lives in America alone, and probably additional millions in British Commonwealth nations. If God had not heard these prayers, the U.S. economy would have collapsed in 2000 to 2001 with the murder of most IT professionals. It would also have led to an immediate attack on our nations and certain defeat in war and national slavery. And a few days ago, I've already exposed the latest colossal genocide attempt order, which was given when the first assassination attempt was made on then presidential candidate Trump on July 13, 2024, and he shouted the words, "Fight, fight, fight." From that date, in a matter of 6 months, more than 152 or 200 million Americans, people in British Commonwealth nations, Jews in Israel and in northwestern European nations have been poisoned by German masqueraders and their allies, most of them being murderers for which they received fabulous rewards. I failed in my role as a watchman to warn our people of such a catastrophe, which I was able to pray about in 2000-2001, because I did not anticipate it this time. I prayed only for my family, friends, or those who helped me in various ways. But God Almighty covered my lapse by not allowing any of the murder attempts to succeed, just He had intervened in 2000-2001. Perhaps now you can understand why it's my duty to warn our people about German masquerader, child killers, and murderers of adults, whether high or low, celebrities, rulers or followers, rich or not so rich. They were all part of this colossal genocide attempt. That's the reason I am exposing the child killers in this video. You'll be able to understand why they pose an ongoing danger to Americans. This is also a special call to state of Florida legislators in the Florida House and Senate to be vigilant and prevent any further killings or injustice being done to our people. This is also an appeal to undo the justice already done to me and help me recover the money stolen from my settlement by a personal injury attorney. Now the latest inductees into the child killer and a murderer hall of shame, because those who murdered a child likely also murdered the child's single parent. I had already identified Governor Ron DeSantis, 46, of Florida, as a child killer and a murderer in a previous video which I deleted. However, I would like to mention it again as I have additional information about him trying to personally hurt my interests in the hope that he stops doing so, as I have been a permanent Florida resident for 22 years, and also to dissuade him from using state authority to pursue any lawsuits against me. Moreover, being a German masquerader child killer, he poses ongoing danger to our side. I've explained before that around 2001, Germans bought up stock in the most valuable American companies so that they could control American business and become rich through dividends and stock appreciation. But by 1996 to 1996, 1995 to 1996, the U.S. government had already learned about the massive discrimination against me and German masqueraders destroying my budding software and IT business so that they could hand it over to Indians allied with them. After the Germans bought up hundreds of billions of dollars worth of American stock assets, the U.S. government under President George W. Bush simply impounded all the assets and has since then decided to keep them for my benefit as compensation for all that the Germans and German masqueraders have stolen from me and for unprecedented discrimination, despite all the contributions I have made for the benefit of the U.S. economy. The Germans tried to have their dividends repatriated to Germany, but the U.S. government did not allow it. Then Gerhard Schroeder, the German Chancellor, came to Washington, D.C., I believe in June 2005, to threaten President Bush of dire consequences if the USA did not allow repatriation of dividends or sale of and purchase of the assets. There must have been fireworks in that meeting. Schroeder went home empty-handed with the message that Germans can't threaten the United States. After that meeting, the Germans realized that they have lost those assets for good. Since then, they have pulled out all the stops to reduce their value by manipulating stocks through German masqueraders in the United States. Now, a substantial amount of that money is invested in real estate in Tampa, Florida. German masqueraders have been waging a campaign for at least 8 to 10 years to drive business and people away from Florida so that real estate values plummet. They tried very hard to have Florida headquartered largest companies be acquired by out-of-state companies and their headquarters moved away from Florida. They are also trying to force the Tampa baseball Rays team to move out of Florida in the Tampa Bay area. They have forced many individuals with threats or verbal persuasion to move away from Florida. Though Governor DeSantis was acting within his executive authority, some of the decisions he has made probably have hurt my real estate investments and me personally. For example, Hurricane Milton was expected to directly hit Tampa, Florida in October 2024. It could have affected the value of most of my real estate investments. Fortunately, the hurricane made landfall about 60 miles south and Tampa was spared. Then I learned that DeSantis had vetoed items in the state's budget that allocated more than $30 million for hurricane mitigating measures like water quality and shoreline improvements for the Tampa area. The vetoes included about $58 million worth of local infrastructure projects like roadway and government building improvements, and about $10 million for community resources like nonprofits and rehabilitation centers for the area. These expenditures would have helped Tampa's economy, boosting real estate values. While Governor DeSantis was acting within his executive authority, I believe he should have helped Tampa with funding to mitigate effects of future hurricanes. Governor DeSantis' administration should also have taken actions in two other cases involving me, but I did not receive the justice I deserved. First was my complaint against an accident injury attorney, Martin John Hernandez of the law firm of Hernandez and Hernandez LLC, for an auto accident dated October 9, 2011. I was quite new to accidents. In only one previous accident, I accepted whatever settlement the insurance company gave me without hiring an attorney. This time I retained the services of Attorney Hernandez. Attorney Hernandez reached a global settlement with all parties for me that paid me $6,200. I received nothing for my car repairs, and I had unpaid medical bills and received many collection notices later. I questioned the settlement and told Attorney Hernandez that a much larger settlement was warranted. He told me that that was the best he could do for me. Of course, from then on, I paid very high premiums for my auto insurance. After that accident, I worked with Liberty Mutual Insurance on auto insurance policies for a year and a half. Then I came to understand auto insurance much better. That's when I realized that Attorney Hernandez had cheated me out of substantial sums of settlement money, which could have been as high as $200,000 to $500,000. In 2020, I filed a complaint with the Florida Attorney Consumer Assistance Program. My complaint was dismissed. The Florida Supreme Court is responsible for such complaints and not the governor. But I am mentioning this because I did not get the justice I deserved for being cheated by a personal injury attorney. Of course, this is one wrong that can still be done right by forcing Attorney Martin Hernandez to disgorge the money he has cheated me out of. I'm going to file another complaint, send a copy to Governor DeSantis and Florida legislators to see if they will deliver justice for me. Another severe problem I had was in October 2022 when I went to Panama City Beach in Florida to attend a religious festival for 9 days. I checked with the hotel Edgewater Resort on October 9, 2022. I was not allowed to sleep for 2 nights and was disturbed throughout the day almost the entire time I was there with constant banging and other noises right above my head. Complaining to hotel management did not help. After the first night, I sent an email to Governor DeSantis' office dated October 10, 2022, 1:59 p.m., and automated response from his office was received as follows. Dear Governor DeSantis, I am a Floridian and have been a resident of the state for the past 20 years. I know how much Florida's economy depends on tourism. Yesterday, I checked into Edgewater Resort in Panama City Beach, Florida, Tower 3, Room 408, for a 9-day vacation as part of a church group. I was not allowed to sleep last night. In addition, I am not allowed to be in my room in peace. The person above my room has been making incessant noise for 10 to 15 minutes after every half hour. Sometimes the person bangs. Besides last night not being allowed to sleep, now at nearly 1 p.m., the whole day the person has been making noise. I have complained to the establishment and met or talked to 5 persons. Office texts me asking again and again what is my location and describe the noise, aggravating me further by giving me the runaround. The noise is like running the tap for some time, with the water tap for some time and shutting it off. But since I can't see it, I have no idea how the person is making the noise. Just grating something on the floor would make similar noise as well. Then the person just bangs occasionally, so I complained to my church coordinator and he has not been able to resolve the issue. If this night the issue is not resolved, I am packing up and leaving in the morning. I paid $180 per night. I don't know if my money will be refunded. I think the state should not tolerate this behavior as it will hurt the state's economy because the word of my atrocious treatment will get around even though I live in the state. Governor, if your office cannot intervene immediately, tomorrow morning I'm cutting short my trip and heading home. I hope your office can intervene. Thank you. I received the following automated reply to me. Thank you for contacting Governor Ron DeSantis. For information related to Hurricane Ian, please visit floridadisaster.org. Due to the volume of emails sent to the governor, there may be a delay in responding to your email. You may wish to view the governor's website, flgov.com, which provides information on current issues and answers to frequently asked questions. Thank you again for taking the time to contact Governor DeSantis, Office of Governor Ron DeSantis. I left Panama City Beach after 2 days and went to a smaller church gathering in Tampa, Florida. We are required to stay at hotels during this feast, but because of the Panama City Beach experience, I decided not to stay at the hotel except for the last day. I went home every day after the day's activities. When I stayed at a hotel for the last day again, I was not allowed to sleep almost the entire night. Of course, I could not expect the governor to intervene personally, but his office staff could have given one phone call to local law enforcement or the hotel management and the problem would have been solved. You see, I'm not an unknown entity in Florida. Everything I do goes viral almost instantly. Therefore, it's a certainty that the harassment was pre-planned and carried out. I experienced the same problem at the hotel in October 2023 at Panama City Beach, Florida, when I went for the church gathering for the same reason. After a couple of days, I had to move from one room to another one. The motive for allowing me to go through this experience of not being allowed to sleep at the hotels was to send a message to tourists in Florida that Florida is not friendly to all tourists. That would reduce tourism in Florida, hurt the state's economy, drastically reducing real estate values. People know that events in my life go viral and have a large impact. While I have no evidence that Governor DeSantis had any ulterior motives, but his dealing with the Disney company also raised some doubts. DeSantis got into a fight with Disney over the Don't Say Gay bill state legislation, which would ban classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in the state's primary schools. I fully supported Governor DeSantis' legislation, which passed, but the company publicly lobbied against the bill. DeSantis did not have to react to Disney's actions, knowing how important Disney is to Florida's economy, but his actions were jarring. DeSantis commandeered the board that governs the area in which Disney World is located, which would hinder its expansion plans. whereas the company did everything it could to oppose the legislation, including filing a lawsuit against the state for retaliation. I had already exposed Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, as a child killer and murderer and a German masquerader. It seems that Bob Iger was acting to create an atmosphere to drive tourism away from the state, though nobody could have suspected it. I was not happy with DeSantis for getting into a fight to hurt the state's economy and reduce real estate values. While I have no basis for suggesting that DeSantis and Iger, both child killer and or murderers, were colluding to hurt the state's economy, but that would have been the result of their actions. And in general, German masqueraders do collude. There is a strong possibility that Governor DeSantis may decide to have me arrested or put me in jail, where murder attempts will likely be made on my life. He may also make the decision to prosecute me illegally on various charges such as defamation or threatening people because of videos on celebrity child killers. Then he may have me arrested illegally on other criminal charges, immigration violations, and have me deported. In this regard, I will reveal 2 appointments that Governor DeSantis has made that will have a direct bearing on such arrests and prosecutions. Governor DeSantis called a special legislative session in mid-January 2025 to focus on immigration issues, including making changes to state immigration laws to help carry out President Donald Trump's immigration policies. The House and Senate passed a bill that provided $500 million in funding to help local law enforcement agencies in fighting illegal immigration and making Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson, as the state's chief immigration officer, established the Office of State Immigration Enforcement within his department's Division of Law Enforcement. DeSantis vetoed the bill because he wants the governor to have the authority for enforcing immigration laws and not the Agriculture Commissioner. That does not bode well for me. I suspect that the state plans to arrest me illegally for immigration law violations. I just raised these issues for Florida legislators to take care of. A governor has a lot of power, and child killers and or murderers have an agenda and tendency to work exclusively for German masquerader interests. That's why Florida legislators will need to be watchful. I also hope they will intervene to help me recover the money that personal injury attorney Martin Hernandez stole from me. Next, I'll just list 2 more child killers and or murderers who are both DeSantis' appointees, but will have a direct bearing on any law enforcement actions against me. All child killers and or murderers generally act in concert. I've already identified Hillsborough County, Florida Sheriff Chad Chronister, 57, as a child killer and a murderer in my December 9, 2024 video. I live in an unincorporated area of Hillsborough County. The sheriff's office has law enforcement jurisdiction in my area. I also revealed that I have suffered massive harassment for 15 years at my apartment complex, including all the time that Chad Chronister has been the sheriff. Sheriff's deputies told me that they generally let the landlord handle harassment complaints. That left no protection for me because my landlord was orchestrating all the harassment. Originally, Chad Chronister was a Governor DeSantis appointee and was later elected. This is another way I believe Governor DeSantis has hurt me personally. Chad Chronister was nominated by President Trump to be his DEA administrator. When withdrawing his nomination for DEA administrator, Chronister said, "There is much work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County and a lot of initiatives I'm committing to fulfilling." I hope he did not mean that he would complete the job of arresting me and putting me in jail on illegal charges and putting an end to my life. This child killer has an estimated net worth of $25 million. Then Susan S. Lopez, 47, a child killer and a murderer, is the state attorney for the 13th Judicial District in Florida that covers entire Hillsborough County, including Tampa. She was appointed originally by Governor Ron DeSantis after he had removed the former state attorney Andrew Warren for stating that he would not enforce the state's strict abortion laws. Then in November 2024, Susan Lopez was elected to the office for a full term. Lawsuits against me will be brought by Susan Lopez's office. Then Ashley Moody, 49, featured in my January 23, 2025 video, is an American politician, attorney, and former jurist who was recently appointed as the junior United States Senator from Florida by Governor Ron DeSantis to replace Marco Rubio, who is now the U.S. Secretary of State. She previously served as the 38th Attorney General of Florida from 2019 to 2025, and before that as an Assistant U.S. Attorney and a Circuit Court Judge in Hillsborough County. She is also a child killer and a murderer. This shows how Governor Ron DeSantis appoints child killers and or murderers like himself to important positions. Then J. Todd Inman, 65, is an NTSB member who is overseeing the investigation into the January 29, 2025 American Eagle Flight 5342 plane collision with an Army Black Hawk helicopter in Washington, D.C., in which all 67 people on both aircraft perished. Todd Inman was appointed board member with the NTSB in March 2024 and previously worked for APCO Worldwide, a U.S. Department of Transportation, and Florida Department of Management Services, according to the NTSB. I've already exposed the fact that this collision was not caused by pilot error. It was deliberately caused by German masqueraders through the traffic controller. I can only speculate what the reason was. The likely reason is that more than 20 people, some college kids, who poisoned my food at restaurants have recently been put to death. In addition, it may have been retaliation for putting to death some other people who poisoned the food of more than 100 million white Americans in the genocide attempt. Another likely reason could be that German masqueraders are sending a signal that can cause chaos with similar collisions. Todd Inman is a child killer and a murderer. We can only surmise what conclusions he will reach after his investigation into the collision of the two aircraft. That's how German masqueraders help their own get away with crimes. These people and other German masquerader murderers like them are aware of the atrocities already committed and the latest genocide attempt on more than 150 million for UBI nations in Europe. Do you think they will ever make an attempt to bring the perpetrators to justice? Not a chance. They are part of the crowd of perpetrators. Our side, that's white Americans of non-German ancestry, has recently learned about the latest genocide attempt. They may have already communicated it to many people, but perhaps not all. That's the watchman service I am performing for our nations and people by informing the world about such events. Moreover, I provide God's perspective on the situation from what is revealed in the Bible so that people may take warning and decide what precautions they need to take to protect themselves. German masqueraders and their allies are certain to take more similar actions in the very near future. The Third World War has already started. We need to be on guard. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos and read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, how world events are fulfilling Bible prophecies, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also follow me on my YouTube and Facebook channels Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini to view and get information on the latest videos.